Hey everybody, this is Intro to Business, Week 5, Business Ethics, and this short lecture recording will take place of our Tuesday class time to give you an introduction to the content in our Business Ethics module. In this module, we'll cover 4 different areas, trying to understand the difference between what's ethical and what's legal, defining business ethics and things companies can do to encourage business ethics, identifying a few of the common issues, common types of ethical violations, and then understanding a little bit about corporate social responsibility. One of the first main things that we have to understand is that there is a difference between what's ethical and what's legal. Often they're the same, but not always. So ethical behavior, ethics, this is that set of moral standards that helps guide our conduct, while legal behavior is what is permissible or not permissible by law. Even if we think back into different times in American history with the evolution of human rights, we can see things that may have been legal at the time, but weren't ethical, such as segregation, the idea of separate but equal, or women voting rights, and legal at the time, but not necessarily ethical. And so what is business ethics? It's when we try to establish these moral and ethical concepts and standards to a business environment, which is not always easy. It doesn't always make sense in an obvious way that we might know what's right or wrong in our personal lives. Trying to understand that in a business environment can be a little bit complicated, which is why it's important for organizations to have a written and established code of ethics. This would give us a very specific set of published standards for conduct within an organization or within a professional field. And so you see companies that will have that code of ethics that will clearly define what's right and wrong in terms of behavior within the company. Or you'll see something called a code of practice. And the code of practice might apply to either a profession or a government agency or even an organization. For example, the New York State Bar Association would have ethical standards for lawyers that will be unique to them as members of that bar association. So there's some things that organizations want to do, particularly managers, to encourage ethical behavior. And I think one of the most important ways that a company can encourage its employees to behave ethically is to make sure management themselves set the standard for that behavior and that their behavior is visible. So 5 strategies for promoting this more ethical workplace. Number 1 is making that leadership a priority, having ethical leadership so that if employees are ever uncertain of what's right or what's wrong, they know they can go to their supervisor, their manager, and receive appropriate guidance. Focus on achieving success the right way, not taking shortcuts, not damaging those that we have to interact with in order to set our company ahead. Being attuned to the impact of organizational change, ethics and moral standards are also continuing to evolve. So it's important that workplaces, managers understand the viewpoints of their employees. Nurturing a speak up culture, we're going to mention whistleblowers and what that means, but essentially, if you see something, say something. We want to make our employees feel safe to speak up if they see something that doesn't feel right to them. And being transparent, and that's with leadership decisions, that's with financial decisions, it's just making sure nothing is happening that's secretive, making business deals out in the open, so that things aren't hid in any sort of way. Ultimately, that's going to be the role of these managers in setting the ethical standards. Some specific challenges, specific examples of ethical violations. Bribery is a great example of an ethical violation. Let's say our company is going to pay the purchasing agent of another company so that we can be awarded a contract. We're going to bribe somebody to make decisions in our company's favor. Similar to a kickback might be We'll just inflate the price of our item a little bit so that we've got some room to then pay that purchasing agent a little bit more for them making the decision to choose our company over another. So bribery, kickbacks are pretty similar in nature. We also see a few other things. The idea of self-dealing, that happens when you've got somebody at the organization who might put their own self-interests above that of the business that they're working for. Let's think of an example. Let's say there's an individual who works at a computer repair company and a customer comes in and they need their computer repaired. That employee is supposed to do that under the umbrella of the company that they work for. But let's say they decide to fix it for that customer on their own personal time and charge the customer themselves, therefore taking the money, the revenue, and also the profit that the company was really meant to receive in that instance. That could be an example of self-dealing. Outside employment, sometimes a worker might have two jobs and they could conflict with one another. The interests of the two jobs might actually contradict each other. An example might be, let's say there's a recruiter for JCC, somebody who's trying to get students to come to the college, and that person also might work at another college. If you have a recruiter for JCC, they're absolutely going to be conflicting with interests for a recruiter for St. Bonaventure. So we really need to avoid that type of outside employment where the roles of each company are conflicting. Family interests can be a little bit self-explanatory, but this might be the idea of giving favoritism either within the company to a family member or giving a close family member contracts or other benefits associated with engagement with your company. We hear the term nepotism, and that really means favoring close family members, close relatives in business dealings. And gifts are also going to be an example of ethical issues where people are receiving some sort of compensation, not necessarily monetary, to make various business decisions. So you've got these different opportunities for ethical behavior violations. A whistleblower is a person who observes or possibly engages in an ethical behavior violation, but calls outside attention to it. So a whistleblower is often going to go to either the government if it's a legal violation, or they may go to the media if there are, let's say biased hiring practices within an organization. They might take that to the media or to the government, the EEOC, to bring attention to the issues happening within the company. Whistleblowers are protected by law. They're meant to be protected so that the company can't just fire the person who's drawing attention to the ethical violations. And then our last little topic here, corporate social responsibility. And corporate social responsibility has evolved a lot over the last probably 10 years, maybe 15 years. It's the idea that businesses need to have an ethical role in society, that businesses are responsible to the stakeholders that they engage with. That could be the environment, that could be community members at large, certainly their employee population, their customers. We've hit on some of these concepts already, but it really means that the company has a responsibility to take care of the people, the organizations, the entities that they interact with. Corporate social responsibility is trying to build a sense of long-term trust and goodwill. The idea is that if we take care of our customers, if we take care of our communities, then people are going to want to work for our business, or they're going to want to buy the product or the service that we're selling. Or if we're taking care of the environment, then we're enriching the local area, and overall it's a good investment for everybody. So that's the primary thought behind corporate social responsibility. And it does continue to be more important with attention paid by customers and by other stakeholders to the decisions that businesses are making. You'll see this as we talk about increased pressure from those customers. People are starting to be more aware of how products are sourced, where their coffee grounds come from, if they're sustainably farmed. They're more aware of the type of labor practices that businesses are using. So the customers are providing this pressure. Shareholders, investors are providing this pressure. There's the idea of socially responsible investing, where you'll see certain investment funds that are a collection of companies that have high corporate social responsibility, high ethical standards. So you're just seeing more pressure on businesses to engage in this manner. Some examples would be philanthropy, the corporation themselves giving to a charitable organization. I'll just note this is different than when they ask you to round up your customer purchase to then give to that organization. This is the company taking company's money and giving to a charitable organization. You'll see cause-related marketing. Often those cause-related marketing can focus around sustainability, environmental sustainability. Social entrepreneurs and social enterprises are when the business themselves exist to further a social cause. And lastly, social marketing, where you might see, some examples have been like Target or other retailers supporting LGBTQ community and Pride months. You'll see like Dove, the Dove body care product line, supporting and promoting body positivity, these types of social marketing campaigns that businesses will engage in as well. And there is a viewpoint, or a little bit of controversy surrounding corporate social responsibility that you should be aware of. One viewpoint says that it is the business's responsibility to engage in the community, protect its stakeholders, whether that's the environment, the employees, the community at large. Corporations should be good citizens of the broader world. The other viewpoint says corporations really just exist to make money, and it's not the corporation's responsibility to take care of all of these stakeholders. It's actually the owners of the business, the shareholders, the people financially benefiting from the business activities that can then take their money if they choose and invest it in these social causes. So I want you to be aware of the two somewhat conflicting viewpoints on corporate social responsibility. And that's really just a high-level overview of this chapter. When we get together on Thursday, we'll go through some different examples of various aspects of business ethics. See you then.